We have three major fight announcements that dropped today, starting 2024 off with three banger main events. In January, we have Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis. It's UFC 297's main event. I'm very happy that Strickland is fighting du Plessis rather than the Chimaev fight. Also, heading into February, we got Alexander Volkanovski versus Ilia Topuria, which originally was supposed to be on that 297 card, but obviously Volkanovski took the fight against Makhachev. He got knocked out badly. He's going to need till February to be ready, and I'm glad that they went that route instead of rushing to bring him back to fight in January. And then in March, we have the rematch between Sean O'Malley and Marlon Chito Vera in what is a true rivalry, but in all actuality, not the most deserving number one contender in Vera, but it's a big name fight, and I see why they booked it. Guys, smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We're going to go in detail talking about each one of these matchups. I'll give my thoughts on it, react to it, and obviously I'll drop an early prediction too for the people that want to know where my head's at as far as a pick goes. Let's first start with Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis, which at UFC 294 seemed like it wouldn't be the case. Dana White went out and said that the Usman Chimaev winner will be the next challenger for Sean Strickland. That turned out to not be true. Obviously, Khamzat Chimaev broke his wrist in that fight, and I'm assuming he needs some time to recover. And truth be told, I'm grateful that it's not happening because they would be absolutely fucking over Dricus du Plessis, who is the most deserving number one contender in the middleweight division for years now. Like, this is a guy that has climbed his way up the ranks and taken out pretty good names consistently, especially in his last fight, knocking out Robert Whittaker. You look at Sean Strickland, he's coming off of a career-defining win where he beat Israel Adesanya when nobody thought it was possible, me included. I didn't think it would happen. And he beat the brakes out of Adesanya for 5 rounds, and he dropped him in that fight. Du Plessis was originally supposed to be in the cage with Adesanya that night. Obviously, the fight not materializing because Du Plessis wasn't going to be ready in time. Strickland willing to take the fight on less than optimal time circumstance, but he was ready to go. He was in shape, and he beat the brakes off of Israel Adesanya. This is arguably a bigger fight than Adesanya versus Sean Strickland or Adesanya versus du Plessis even, especially now moving forward, because forthcoming after UFC 294, we thought Khamzat would be jumping in against Sean Strickland and then potentially du Plessis waiting out on the sidelines or maybe fighting Israel Adesanya or even a Kamaru Usman. Thankfully, the UFC doesn't screw him over. We have du Plessis in here against Sean Strickland in the most high, I think, competitive type matchup we've seen in middleweight championship fights in a long time. Like, it's anticipated to be competitive throughout all. And I guess you could say the Adesanya-Pereira rivalry would have been considered to be competitive. But outside of that one, there was a lot of fights with Israel Adesanya when you go down the list that he was just expected to run over everybody, specifically Sean Strickland, who proved them wrong. Now we got du Plessis versus Sean Strickland. As I predict this fight, something is whispering to me the fact that Dricus du Plessis is going to be extremely strong and durable, that we're going to go the full 5 rounds and we have another decision on our hands. It's going to come down to the in-betweens. As du Plessis enters the pocket, is Strickland landing multi-shot combos? Does he sting du Plessis and keep him off of him? I feel like du Plessis has a pure punching power advantage, but Sean Strickland strings his punches together better. I would say du Plessis is the more physically strong guy, but I don't think there's a huge chance that he brings wrestling into this fight. I'm having such a hard time early picking this fight. I'll be honest, as I hit record, I was sitting to myself and I'm like, man, I feel like Dricus du Plessis wins a decision, but I can 100% see Sean Strickland pulling it off on the cards too. Like, if you're asking me about this fight, how I feel, it would be sit back and enjoy. On the betting side, like, I'm not even interested. Flip a damn coin. The other day, if you would have asked me about this fight, I think I would have picked Strickland, but I calmed down from like the recency bias of him running over Israel Adesanya, and I'm realizing that Dricus du Plessis in the fight prior just destroyed Robert Whittaker and finished him. I think Du Plessis could get it late on the cards. Does he have the gas tank to go the full 5, though? This is something we don't even know. I'm sitting here flip-flopping on video for a pick because I hate doing early picks like this when it's a matchup that's a legit coin flip. I'm looking at Du Plessis' picture. I'm picking him. I'm sticking with Du Plessis, but I'm telling you guys right now, as I sit on this matchup, I can't wait to see it because there's certain fights that like you feel like you can't even get a read. And this one here, I'm seeing the argument towards both sides. If I'm creating the lines here, I think I got even Stevens. I'd say it's minus 115 on both sides between these two savages. Let's talk about the next fight. Enough breaking down this one. We'll jump to the featherweight championship fight, which is Alexander Volkanovski, Ilia Topuria. Volk's coming off of a bad loss. He's going to have adequate time to train and recover to prepare for Ilia Topuria. Absolutely. But this is a horrifying matchup for him now and a true deserving #1 contender that wasn't a victim of Max Holloway yet. Ilia Topuria has never lost as a pro, so I love that Volkanovski is getting an unbeaten challenger that seems like the future of this weight class. I think many of us would agree that there's a high chance Ilia Topuria is eventually going to have a belt around his waist. If it's not now, fighting Volkanovski in 2024, then it's going to be within the next 3 years because I see him versus the upcoming opposition having advantages. I think he's going to run a lot of dudes over. But does he beat Volkanovski, who's the greatest featherweight of all time? The concern I have here is this. Volkanovski being brutally knocked out with a high kick in the way that he was, could there be a potential that now the chin's been cracked, it could get cracked again here, this time by an Ilia Topuria punch? Now, obviously, Topuria doesn't have the kicking skills of Makhachev. There's no shot. No way. If he high kick knocks out Volk, I'm walking out of the room during the live stream. I wouldn't even know what to say. Topuria would have the best chance with his hands because he's a really good boxer. But Volkanovski's an extremely good MMA fighter. This fight right here, I honestly think is another one that's going to be tooth and nail. I feel like we're heading into the later rounds and it's going to come down to who can turn it up late. Volkanovski has proven that he can turn it up late more than Topuria. I'm going to pick Volkanovski to win a decision in this fight. I think Ilia Topuria will give him a lot of trouble. And there is a puncher's chance for Topuria. If we don't get prime-time Volkanovski in this fight, if the damage that he took from Makhachev has a lingering effect, there is a legit knockout opportunity for Ilia Topuria. But if we get the Volkanovski that we're used to seeing, the Volkanovski who ran over Yair Rodriguez, the Volkanovski who was pounding out Islam Makhachev from top position when he fought him with the full camp, then Volkanovski can win this fight. And I'm going to predict that he does beat an extremely skilled Ilia Topuria. I love that it's Topuria, though. I'm so happy that we don't have somebody again that lost to Max Holloway. We got new blood coming in. I think Topuria eventually could become champion, but right now, I think Volkanovski pulls it out. And maybe, just maybe, eventually, a rematch takes place between these two, and Topuria is able to beat the OG at this point in Alexander Volkanovski. But right now, I feel like Topuria is going to come up a little bit short, and it's going to be in the later rounds. Close decision. I'll say 48-47, Alexander Volkanovski beats Ilia Topuria. But you know what's scary? Is the fact that fighters over 35 defending the belt, now taking on Ilia Topuria, a new up-and-comer, and especially coming off of a loss in his most recent fight in Volkanovski. Like, this could be the passing of the torch moment for Volkanovski. I'm very curious what the lines are going to open at, because if he's a big favorite, Ilia Topuria would be a quite live underdog. But I still think Volk's going to come through at the end. Decision for Volk. And then in March, we have the UFC 299 main event, Marlon Chito Vera versus the Sugar Show, Sean O'Malley, the rematch. Their first fight took place in 2020. It was August 15th at UFC 252. And Marlon Vera pulled off a massive upset, knocking out Sean O'Malley with ground and pound, technically, but it was set up by him hitting the perennial nerve and shutting down O'Malley's leg. In his last fight, Marlon Chito Vera was able to beat Pedro Munoz, but just one fight prior to that, he lost convincingly to Corey Sandhagen. I believe Sean O'Malley has made more improvements than Marlon Chito Vera, and I think that he's the better fighter of the two. When they face off inside of the cage in 2024 in a rematch, it's Sean O'Malley's time now. The way he knocked out Aljamain Sterling is unreal timing. The way that, regardless of who you think deserved to win at the end of it, the way that he struck with Petr Yan. And I think we still have an improving Sean O'Malley. Chito Vera is going to be too slow on the feet. Let's be honest, guys. Chito Vera is not great with his volume. He's a very calculated guy. I think that we have a speed advantage for Sean O'Malley, definitely a punching advantage for Sean O'Malley. He's the better boxer of these two guys, which I think is going to be a big factor in this fight. The hands are going to be on display for Sean O'Malley. And I feel like he's beaten Chito Vera. Does he knock out Chito, though? That's a hard thing to do, to put Chito's lights out. But I could see O'Malley finding the chin and putting him out. Chito's toughness can definitely keep it in it, and we might be looking at O'Malley being forced to go 5 rounds, but something's telling me he's KOing Chito Vera, second or third. He's going to find the kill shot, and his hands are going to get the job done, and he's going to flatline Marlon Vera here. Vera's going to walk into something huge. And if it does go long, I think it's because Marlon Vera tries to pick apart the leg of O'Malley, but he does get hit with a lot of counters, but just neither would then be like committing to the strikes. But because it's a heated rivalry, it's a rematch. Vera stopped him the last time. O'Malley wants to get back with blood in this one. And I think O'Malley puts hands on Marlon Chito Vera. And I think he sleeps him. He puts him out cold in what's going to be pretty crazy to see for Sean O'Malley getting a clean one back over Marlon Chito Vera, who gave him his first pro loss and only pro loss. I like that they went this route for the rematch. I saw Corey Sandhagen was absolutely distraught when he heard that this fight was announced, because he's sitting there like, now how long do I have to wait? I'm ready to fight in April, May. And he's thinking he's next in line. But realistically, O'Malley fighting in March, we might not get him back till September of 2024 after this fight in March. He might not fight all summer. So I feel like Corey Sandhagen might end up being put in a spot where he's pressured to take another fight. For Sean O'Malley, if he's impressive and knocks out Chito Vera, sky's the limit. I don't know about him doing a dual weight thing, but I know that he's talked about beating Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, and Gervonta Davis. He thinks he can beat them in one night, all in MMA. But he also thinks that if you put him inside of the ring, he can also outbox them. And we just saw Tyson Fury cross over and have success. Is there a chance that if Sean O'Malley is super impressive in this fight and absolutely destroys Marlon Chito Vera, that the UFC may entertain an idea of a crossover match? I'm going to tell you this. I think the odds are low. I think the chances are slim. Because Conor McGregor was the real one-of-a-kind situation, I still feel like they'd be fearful of Sean O'Malley's stock dropping. What happens? You put him in there with Tank Davis, and Tank does what a boxer should do and knocks out Sean O'Malley. And he doesn't go out and have a good performance. And then he loses in boxing, gets crushed. It would look bad. So I can see the hesitancy from the UFC, but I know Sean O'Malley's side is interested in doing a boxing crossover. Like, I'm wondering, what is it going to take from Sean O'Malley for him to earn this boxing crossover? Is it going to be beating Marlon Chito Vera? Maybe not. Maybe it's knocking out Marab or taking out Corey Sandhagen, where they force him to do some crazy super fight with Max Holloway. I don't know. We're just, pulling at straws here and making a lot of shit up as I go. But in all actuality, I'd be curious to see him get that chance because of the bag that he could potentially earn. But the odds of it, I will say, are fairly slim. He's got a real tough test here against Chito. I think he knocks Chito out, ends the rivalry with him, because I doubt they're going to do a trilogy if he knocks him unconscious. And we're looking at Sean O'Malley in 2024, probably coming back, like I said, September. The name of that opponent, unknown. It could be Corey Sandhagen. It could be Merab Dvalishvili. I don't know exactly the direction, but we're going to see how some matches play out. I like the bantamweight division a ton, though. But let's be real. If Marlon Vera somehow wins, you better give it to Sandhagen right away. If Vera has the belt, Sandhagen's the real champion, because Sandhagen dominated that fight. And now Vera's getting a title shot, and he could become the champ. So Sandhagen would need that rematch immediately. But I think Sean O'Malley beats him. And I think O'Malley Sandhagen is really interesting. I like those fights a lot. That's the UFC 299 main event. This is a pretty stacked first 3 months of 2024. I like that they're throwing some real good main events with like solid power. And, I think the fans are going to be all over it. I'm a big fan of the Strickland Plessis fight. I love number one. I think I'd say Volkanovski Topuria would be number two, and then O'Malley Cheeto would be number three. But realistically, I like all the matchups a ton. Seeing O'Malley back is going to be great. But something just special about this Sean Strickland Dricus du Plessis fight, because it's a title fight at middleweight that doesn't involve Israel Adesanya. We haven't seen this in a long, long time. Israel Adesanya has been reigning through that weight class for so long. So to see the belt on the line without him there, this is a new era in the UFC middleweight division. And it's kind of nice to see because, we went from the Anderson Silva era, and then we had Weidman, we had Rockhold, we had Bisping. The belt kind of went around like hot potato. But then Adesanya came and was a dominant champion, and Sean Strickland took it from him. And now Sean Strickland's fighting Dricus du Plessis in a legitimately scary title defense because du Plessis is a great, great opponent. I'm just quickly looking at Adesanya's reign at the top, title, championship fights, world title, not the interim. Started in 2019. He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 championship fights at middleweight, 10 if you include Jan Blachowicz, but that was not at middleweight. So it's been Adesanya in the main event of a UFC pay-per-view with the middleweight belt on the line, whether it's in the winning or the losing corner. He's taking a break now. Du Plessis getting his shine, and I can't wait to see how that unfolds, man. The middleweight division is at a great place right now, and I'm so stoked. I'm most excited for Strickland versus du Plessis. You guys can tell. I love the middleweight division, but especially this matchup. And it's not that I don't love the other fights. I think they're good. I think Topuria Volk is interesting. I'm a little worried about Volkanovski's chin. I won't lie to you. And then looking at the final one, which is UFC 299's main event, O'Malley versus Vera. I worry about Sean O'Malley getting his leg chopped up and losing again, and Vera as champion. It would just be kind of odd because he has such like a clear loss to a top contender in Corey Sandhagen. But hey, business sells. This is the game. Entertainment business number one. We got good fights. I'm excited for all of them. I look forward to 2024. I think the UFC is going to deliver for us with some absolute bangers. I hope you guys enjoyed the news reaction. Definitely let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below. I like going in depth, talking about each one of the matchups far before we get to it. I've told you guys I'm staying consistent with the news reactions, and I appreciate you guys who are tuning into them. So let me know in the comments what you thought. Drop a W if you got nothing to say. Smash the likes. If you're new, subscribe. Thank you for all tuning in, and I'll see everybody in the next one. Peace, guys.